Many experts and professionals of ELT from around the world have suggested including World English's view in teacher education. By World English's view, we mean the belief and understanding that there are many different varieties of English and not just some native varieties of English which should be considered seriously. In this module, we'll talk about the World English's implications for teacher education. These experts who suggest and in fact strongly recommend including World English's perspective in teacher education have made a case for their proposition, giving several reasons and several justifications for including World Englishes in teacher education. For example, one reason that they give is that the teacher educators should be exposed to the World English's theories and models, and not only theories and models put forth by native speaking theorists and experts. They compare the irrationality of the situation with a situation where American participants of a teacher education program are made to learn Australian English and promotes Australian English. Just as it is nonsensical and irrational for American teacher educators to learn and promote Australian English, it is equally irrational for, suppose, Pakistani teacher educators to learn and promote British English in Pakistan. So it is very important that the teacher trainees should be exposed to theories and models of World Englishes so that they are able to embrace these different varieties and also teach the varieties which are appropriate for a particular group of students, and not only believe in the superiority of native varieties of English. For the same reason, it is important for the teacher educators and teacher trainees to be aware of ELT practices and also practitioners from around the world. And they have to overcome this misconception that it is the West which demonstrates the true spirit of ELT. As we know that majority of the learners of English come from expanding an outer circle. Therefore, believing that the West, which comprises native English speakers who do not need to learn the English the way the learners from expanding an outer circle do, to believe that they are the emblem of true ELT situation. So there has to be an emphasis on the need from input in teacher education from the outer and expanding circle, the regions, the areas where most of English language teaching takes place. So there has to be a lot of input from these areas for a better understanding of the ELT situation around the world. The third reason which is given is the need to adopt a more pragmatic, a more practical view of English language teaching. Like I have already said, that majority of the learners of English come from expanding an outer circle. Therefore, we need to keep their needs in mind when we are planning the curriculum or planning some research, etc. If research is conducted in situations which do not demonstrate the real ELT situation, for example, if you carry out a research study in England which is not the true, which does not really reflect the true situation for English language learning, the outcomes of the research will probably not be very useful for ELT around the world. Therefore, one has to take a very practical view of English language teaching and not a very idealistic view where we think the native speakers are superior and therefore we need to only learn what they know or what they speak, etc., and teach the same. If, for example, we only teach standards without teaching the actual use of those standards in real situations, these standards will be completely irrelevance. So, if we teach native English standards without their application in real context, the whole business of English language teaching will be extremely irrelevant to the real needs of the learners. Finally, the teacher educators or teacher trainees need to be aware of the world English's perspectives, to be ready to resist linguistic imperialism or to resist the imposition of a native model on the rest of the world. The imposition of one native model or native English models on the rest of the world is often compared with linguistic imperialism. And it is very important that this notion of inner circle variety being superior to the other varieties and therefore be fit to be used as a model for the rest of the world, this notion has to be completely eliminated. And the teacher educators, the future teachers of English, can do that only when they are aware of this world English's view of English language teaching. Therefore, it is extremely important nowadays to include world English's view in teacher education programs.